Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Seth Joyner Show. It is Victory Tuesday today. The Eagles, my goodness, who could have saw this coming? Starting off at 2-5 and then going 7-2 over the last 9 games, and now have locked down the number 7 seed in the NFC playoffs. Wow. No one saw that coming. Not after a 2-5 start. But here we are. Here we are. And the Eagles got off to another slow start on Sunday versus the Washington football team. Had everybody sitting on their seats once again, at the edge of their seats, I should say, wondering what the heck is going on. And then, like clockwork, they came out at halftime, made some halftime adjustments, and just rolled over the Washington football team in every way imaginable. As we look forward to this football team playing in the playoffs, probably a week from Saturday. Saturday's game has been flexed. Sunday's game, I should say, rather, has been flexed to Saturday. I believe it'll probably be, a late game. But here we are with this football team and just trying to find some continuity as we get through this last game of the season. By the way, Jerry Jones came out today and said that the Cowboys will be playing their starters in this game. The objective is to win the football game. We'll see how long that lasts and how the first half kind of plays out. But week 18, here we are. And then week 19, the Philadelphia Eagles are in the wild card round of the NFL playoffs. Who could have saw this coming? To help me break it all down, I got a couple of my boys, and I got them for a half hour each. So they're gonna get out of here after a half hour, and then it'll be just me and you talking birds. But while I got them, let's bring them in. I got Kevin Negandhi, anchor for ESPN. You guys know that face is recognizable anyway. And then Sean Salisbury, 9-year NFL vet. My good buddy, he now is the host of Sports Talk 790 in Houston. Gentlemen, put the real faces up so we can see them. Man, Sean, you looking old, man.
Well, I was just about to say, is it Botox time for me yet, Seth? Hey, I'm feeling good. You're with the guy. Look at that guy right there. He's never aging. And you look the same as when I played against you like 42 years ago and we had leather helmets on. I'm feeling good. It's great to be on with you guys. Kev, great to see you too, brother.
Sean, good to see you. I will say one word: lighting. That's the difference. That's the only thing that's helping me here in the shot. It's great to be with you guys. That's much better. There we go. And honestly, who would have thought that entering Week 18, that we would be talking about the Eagles, a 9-win team, and getting ready for the playoffs, like you said, Seth. So it's great to talk to you guys. It's great to talk about the Eagles in a positive light after how this season started with just 2 wins in their first 7 games.
Hey, listen, 30 minutes is going to buzz by fast, so I'm gonna hit some of these points real quick to kind of get you guys' opinion. First and foremost, the lightning rod that is Jalen Hurts. You guys know the Eagles traded away Carson Wentz and is given Jalen Hurts the opportunity to win the starting job. And after a 2-5 start, everybody was crying for this guy, to sit the bench. And for the Eagles, with one of their 3 draft picks coming up in April, to look at a quarterback, a potential, franchise quarterback. Then this kid, along with, some good defensive play and some good play across the board, especially in the offensive line, turns it all around once Nick Sirianni decides to, stop throwing the ball all over the map and use the strength of their team and the offensive line to actually run the ball. But when you look at Jalen Hurts, Kevin, tell me what you see. I'm going to leave Sean for last because this guy played, quarterback in the NFL, and I'm curious, what he sees and what you see.
I can't wait to hear Sean's breakdown because for me, the one thing I've seen with Jalen is growth, and that's all we asked for. I thought it was really ridiculous with Sirianni to start the season, a guy who has, less than 10 starts in his career, and say, hey, let's put 90% of the offense through you, whether it's through your arm or running the football. And I didn't think that was fair to him. And, Seth, you and I, we're going all back and forth watching these games on Twitter saying, just run the football. It's the strength of the team when you have Miles Sanders. I don't know why Jordan Howard was on the practice squad that early in the season, but he got in shape. And then Kelsey, Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, those guys, and the growth of Landon Dickerson, they really helped ease things after 7 weeks. I got to give Sirianni a ton of credit. Fully aware of, okay, I've got my quarterback. I know his limitations. He can't throw the ball 30 or 40 times. That's not successful with the talent that you specifically have. The one thing that we need to see with Jalen Hurts, I think, over time, and Sean can talk a little bit about this, is can you improve your accuracy in that 20 to 25-yard range, right? What I want to see from Jalen is how do you handle adversity? How do you grind out games when the offense is doing nothing? And we're seeing that. We're seeing how he handled coming off that Giants game, how he has to carry the team with his arm a little bit more the last few weeks because of his ankle. And I just love watching the growth because I also know he's committed in the offseason to get better. But can you get better with an accurate arm and actually throwing the ball 20, 25 yards in a window in the NFL? Sean, what do you think of that?
Kevin, and I love your point. I love this kid, and I can remember I saw his, and I raved about this. I saw his opening game playing USC at Jerry's house when he was a true freshman at Alabama. And Seth, you and I have talked in the past, and Kevin, we work together. I'm big on quarterbacks who get kicked in the teeth a little bit. I am. They get questioned, and I'm going to find out, can you handle it, and how do you respond? I watched him play the Trojans, then I watched him his entire freshman year, and I saw, I think, every throw he made in every game he played in at Alabama. And I said on my show, I said, he's the most poised football player in the country. I didn't say best, poised. And it will wear well on him. Well, he goes through, does his thing, gets beat out by Tua, has to transfer, went to Lincoln, got a chance to throw it, which everybody wondered, is he an NFL guy? Somebody saw a couple traits in him, Seth and Kevin. One is winner. Two is poised under pressure. Three is everything going on around him. You've never heard him respond. He just keeps on playing. And I love it because now, and you mentioned, Kevin, about throwing it 40 times a game. There aren't many guys out there outside in New England, now Tampa, Kansas City, and Green Bay, where that cat can throw it 50 times, 40 times on a consistent basis and win. And Kevin, you're right. The next level is the intermediate stuff. And when he gets into a contest, and Seth, you know this, they may have to throw it 35 times in a playoff game to win. How will he keep up, and how will Sirianni put him in a position to maximize play action, RPO, to push to the second level so the windows are a little more open? I love him. I wouldn't go trade for a quarterback. I think that the best is still in front of him. And while he may never lead the league in passing, the ability to draw out, and I always believe great coaches maximize the ability of that player and of their room. I talked to Troy Aikman today, and Seth and Kevin, you know what he told me? I said, build me a franchise. What do you got to start with? And you know what he said? What both of you guys started with. Offensive line first on offense, and then we'll grow it out from there to defense, the quarterback. So it is impressive. I think Jalen Hurts, if he gets proper teaching on that team, that he can take his passing to another level. The guy can go 9 of 22 and beat you. And that's what I like about him, because a lot of quarterbacks can't unless the stats are gaudy, Seth.
Now, the biggest question to Jalen Hurts is his development really is Nick Sirianni, okay? Mm-hmm. Because they tried to reverse engineer this quarterback. He just started his 19th or 18th game last week, and they started off the season just throwing the ball all over the map, okay? And even during this 9-2 spurt that they've had, they've started off slow, and people are going to talk about as they go into the playoffs, the record of the teams that they played against. And this is truly phenomenal when you think about it. They played against the teams that they played against over this win streak are combined 50 and 93. Mm-hmm. 50 and 93. Okay. So we understand that they've got to get off to a better start. And the problem has been with Nick Sirianni is that there's something inside of him as an OC and now a head coach that he wants to throw the football. He wants to start off throwing the football. Sean, you've been around the game a long time. And as a defensive player, the thing that I know, if I got a young quarterback and I got a head coach or OC who wants to throw the ball, I'm bent on confusion. How can I confuse this guy and speed up his clock and make him make some bad decisions? Okay. So this bent towards wanting to throw the ball as much as Nick Sirianni wants to throw it plays right into that. Okay. So over the last 5 games, they started off slow against these teams that really aren't that good. And then all of a sudden they go in at halftime, they make halftime adjustments, they come out running the ball, and boom, the offense just explodes in the second half. Why the hell doesn't Nick Sirianni start the game out that way, where you can dominate and take command of the line of scrimmage by running the ball and expand your offense by throwing it because you've already set up the running game? Because let me tell you something. If they get into the playoffs and they start the way they've started the last 5 games, when they go in for oranges and Gatorade at halftime, game over.
Yep. And except you're so correct. And first of all, we are an absurd society when it comes to quarterbacks to expect guys 20 games into their career or less. I've saw it with Tua. Now, we may see it may bear itself out, but come on. If that was the case, we'd have run Josh Allen out of his rookie year. Peyton Manning would have never played. Troy Aikman would have quit after the punishment you guys put on him in his career early on, Seth. So we got to give a guy a chance, number one. And
I'll say this, Sean. Hold on 1 second. I'll say this. He's at a disadvantage because when guys are picked in the top 10, they get a window of opportunity.
Yes.
The guy who's picked in the second round, 52nd or 53rd overall, that he doesn't get.
Yeah, Aikman said the same thing today. We were talking about like Davis Mills and guys, second, third rounders. The first round guy gets all the opportunity to fail. The third round guy, after about 4 games, if we don't like it as fans or media, we bury him and want to run him out of the league. Back to your point, Seth, and I don't care if you've been in the league 20 games, 19 games, or 40 games. When I know that you can create confusion, especially for a young guy who still is trying to feel out what different coverages and are you showing me 4-week this way, bringing a strong safety blitz? Does it look like an A-gap blitz and all of a sudden you're bringing a guy out the slot, hit you in the back, you miss a hot read? And then with confusion comes bad mechanics. And with bad mechanics and confusion comes physical errors because you panic. I love urgency. I can't stand hurried with my quarterback. And that's what that creates, which obviously means why don't we do this? Why don't we come out and why don't we lengthen and widen the field for the defense? Give them the threat of a little RPO. Give me a little toss sweep. Give me a little hitch route and a slant. And then what happens, Seth, is now you're on your skates a little bit. Am I rushing and selling out? And if I miss, am I dropping back in coverage? Because then the confusion shifts. Now we're a two-headed monster on offense. Let him get into a rhythm and make you guys less aggressive on defense. When I know you can create confusion, and it's not just with the quarterback, it's who's the back going to block, who's directing protection. Even with the veteran offensive line, you've still got to protect your rookie quarterback, not only physically, but mentally to keep him out of situations because he hasn't seen a lot of it. To me, you put a defense in a much bigger bind. Why do you think the Tennessee Titans are so good when their big fella's healthy? When Carson Wentz is going good? Because now you got to defend 53 yards wide and 100 yards long, and then the window's open a little more. Like they did in high school for Jalen Hurts and in Oklahoma. But in ours, as you guys know, Kevin, you can talk to this, and Seth, we're throwing to coffee can size windows in the NFL. And if you're one split second late because of confusion, you've thrown 2 picks, you're down 21 to 3.5, and now you're chasing. And now what you got to do? You got to throw. So let's start it better and do it. Play to your strengths and maximize it, Kev. And I see that with Philly because they can be dangerous, but they can also be an easy out if they get out of hand game plan wise.
Yeah,
so
100%.
I'm going to pass it to you, but I got a guy here, Tony Gustin. He says, if these guys think we can run the ball all game against Tampa Bay, okay, they're foolish. Now, I want to clarify. I'm not one of those guys that believes that you run the ball 70-30. I just don't believe that. But you can't come out and throw the ball 70-30 either, okay? So
unless your name's Aaron Rodgers or Brady.
Yeah, exactly.
And even those guys, Sean, I think that when quarterbacks throw the ball above 40 plus times, the odds of them getting a strip sack, throwing an interception, they go up exponentially. Okay. Right. I don't care who you are, because the more opportunities I have to blitz you, the more opportunities I have to pass rush you, the more opportunities, and the odds are that I'm going to create something along the way. Okay. So I'm not saying that, hey, they need to just come out and run. But if you really want to pass the ball, you got to set it up the right way. As a defensive player, Kevin, what Buddy used to always say, shut down the run. You earn the right to rush the passer. You earn the right to run blitzes. But if you don't shut it down, your defensive coordinator is handcuffed, because when they go play action pass and they stick that ball out, the linebackers and the safety, they have to stop and freeze and respect that. Okay, so I'm not saying just come out and run. What I'm saying is run the ball efficiently enough so that you can get what you want in the run game, especially with a group of young wide receivers and a quarterback who's only started 18 games in the NFL. To Sean's point, he's trying to figure out coverages and blitzes and disguises and all these things. So make it easy for him. And I know that Kevin, you get bent out of shape, because I'm looking at your tweets in game. You're an Eagles fan. I know.
I get so mad. Seth, I get so freaking mad, especially when you got Miles Sanders behind you, right? And I think he's a top 5 back when he's going. And then early in the season, when they're playing tough offenses, right, and you're going 3 and out because you're throwing the ball 3 straight times, and you have Devontae Smith, who's playing his first couple games in the NFL, and he's your biggest playmaker, like, you can't find a rhythm, and then you're wearing your defense out against a really quality quarterback. I mean, let's not we also know they're not the schedule makers here. The Eagles have benefited on who is in front of them. I think Jalen Hurts has benefited the last 2 months. The last top 15 quarterback they've played is November 7th, Justin Herbert. Right. I mean, the best quarterback in the last 2 months is Trevor Siemian. Are you kidding me? So what they've done is, hey, we'll run the football, let the defense eat a little bit. And here's one thing that we saw in the Andy Reid era. The screen pass is as good as a rush. And I didn't understand how come you don't get Miles Sanders involved with that little screen game early on to get into a rhythm. Okay, if you want to pass all the time, Sirianni, early on, then find a little screen pass here to Miles Sanders to kind of pick up 5-6 yards. And now you're at 2nd and 4, or potentially 3rd and 2. And that's what was most frustrating. And I got to give Sirianni a ton of credit. He has found a way to adjust here specifically and say, all right, I got to understand what is our strength. Let's maximize that. But to your point at the beginning of this broadcast, you can't have slow starts here against Tom Brady or any of those quarterbacks that are going to be in the top 4 that they're going to face, because you're going to get your butt whooped and you're going to have a tired defense at halftime.
Yeah, Kev, with that, and Seth, real quick about this. Listen, I understand the schedule they play, but the great thing, like college basketball tournament, fresh legs, get your ass in. Once you're in, we'll see. You may catch fire. We've seen the movie before with teams, and like, whoa, you never know. But to the person who messaged us, and I get it. Now, listen, this is a quarterback. Hell, I want to throw 70 times. Don't kid yourself. I'm a selfish bastard. I want to drop back and let it rip. But just eyeball what they're doing in San Francisco. Play some defense. When they're winning, be efficient, get the ball out urgently, run it 37 to 40 times if they can, and throw it 23. Now, when you got Brady or Rodgers, you get the luxury of flipping that if you want and going 65-35 pass run. But Kevin, to your point, the best offense is Mahomes, Brady, and Rodgers. They do better than anybody. They use the pass game, the short pass game, the screen, the bubble, the hitch screen, the smoke screen as an extension of the run. So that's 8 or 9 more throws, which gets a guy in space. So I listen, I want to throw it, but you also got to understand, you got to know the room. And the room in Philadelphia says we have got to do what we do best to stay in games. If we shoot threes, let's bury the 3. If we're a great defensive team, let's keep the score low, like University of Virginia in basketball. If we're going to score, get it to Steph Curry and we'll go lay it out and let's go play. In their case, maximize what you got to give yourself a chance in the fourth quarter. Because in the fourth quarter, if you're within striking distance, takes one of your strip sack fumbles, ball games changed around, Philadelphia upsets somebody they're not supposed to beat. I love to throw it, but I also like winning more than I do the stat sheet. And usually when you throw it and turn it over, you don't win. And I believe Jalen Hurts, when he's in rhythm, is a scary guy to defend for defenses because of his legs especially.
Well, listen, Sean, you talked about, the RPO and all of that stuff. I think that, you could see it last week. If you watched the game last week, they faltered through the first half. And the second half, they came out, they got the running game going, and then they got greedy, in my opinion.
Right.
They got greedy. When teams are playing you not to give up the big play, the hardest thing in the world, Mahomes went through it, early in the year. Teams just played two high safeties. They said, we're not going to give you anything deep. And Mahomes tried to push it down the field anyway. I think he had like 8 interceptions through 5 games or something crazy before he kind of figured it out. And it turned their entire season around. Now they're sitting, the number 1 seed in the AFC. But I think these coordinators, and sometimes Sirianni does, he gets greedy. Mm-hmm. There are times when you make the decision to throw the ball, you're not going to get the home run every single time. What's wrong with the 5-yard, 3-yard, 4-yard? That's the first down, according to my math, okay? But what they do is they want to push the ball 20, 30, 15 yards downfield instead of taking what the defense is giving you and moving the sticks. Because they didn't really get going in the second half until the second possession. They fumbled through the first possession. They ran it. The second possession, what they did was they ran the ball. Boston Scott, 12 yards. They came back, 1, 2, 3 passes, punt. Now, why? Even if you want to throw it, and all those passes were passes down the field where the ball got tipped, potential interceptions, and you're forcing Jalen Hurts to push the ball down the field instead of just taking the obvious. Because at the end of the day, Tom Brady has mastered this. He's going to take what you give him, and he's going to move the chains because he wants to score every single possession, whether it's a 3 or whether it's a 6. He wants to score every single possession. And then now, once you got a lead, and now you're ahead as the game progresses, you put an offense in a situation, or defense rather, in a situation where, okay, we got to go get it now. That means we got to play more man-to-man. That means that we got to run more blitzes. Now you're in a situation where you force the defense to play the coverage that you want. Now you can look out there and say, okay, where's my best matchup? Because we got this protected against this blitz. We got a pre-snap read on it. Or it's man-to-man, and I know it's man-to-man pre-snap. Where's my best matchup? Now I can take my shot down the field. But some of these coordinators are just so darn greedy that they're going to try to force the ball and get those chunk plays all game long where you haven't set it up yet. You haven't forced the team to give you the coverage that allows you, to take those shots down the field.
Seth, to validate your point, Kevin, and you've been covering this for so long, is as a quarterback, obviously the number one job is put the ball in the end zone and win games, but the defense dictates where I throw the ball, not me. Now, I'd like to by formation and matchup, formation and motion to where I can create matchup issues with my best. But the truth is, it's real simple. If you got the curl flat combo and I'm running you got the curl flat combo and you're running hook to curl as a Sam linebacker, I'm just throwing off you. If they play 3 high, I'm going to hit the ball to flat right now, gain 7 yards, and it's 2nd and 3. If I'm throwing curl flat and you play cover 2, I'm going to go curl. You're squatting in the flat. I'll take a second. It's throw the check down for 6 more yards, first down. The greatest singles hitters. You don't have to go upper tank all the time and hit a grand slam home run. The greatest singles hitters, the best players in the world at this position, I sure as hell wasn't one of them, but I watched the great ones do it, is they are willing to outpatient a defense and hit singles. The best players in the world make the simple play look simple. They hit singles. That's Brady forever, 7 of them. That's Drew Brees, as good as we've ever had, and Peyton Manning. And when people say they manage, and then what happens is people get tired of it, Seth, and you know the patience that goes with it. Kevin, you watch it every single day and love it. Is then you finally jump me. You saw it last year in the Super Bowl. Brady playing sideways, shallow cross, check down, flat, bootleg to the flat, stretch play, throw the ball to the flat. What happens late in the game? They get tired of it. They play single high. Gronk goes up the left seam. Brady hits him on that throw down to the 1.5-yard line. Boom, we score. And he came at the right time. You've got to hit me singles. And when in the fact of hitting singles, the grand slam, the upper tank home run, Kevin, comes. And that's what they got to do. The Super Bowl champion will have hit slants, hitches, screens, and singles when this is all over.
Sean, to your point, and you brought up Gronk. I'm going to bring up in the second half of the season, since Ertz was traded to, Goddard's role has been so much better here with the comfort and getting him the ball. And the one thing that Jalen has to learn, he's not a home run hitter anymore. Jalen cannot throw the deep ball accurately, right? So you got to take advantage of one thing. The best pass catcher is Devontae Smith, and he should get at least 8 to 10 targets per game regardless. And one thing I've noticed about Jalen is he wants to get Rager involved so much. I know you guys talk about getting the defense involved. You handle what the defense gives you no matter what. But there's a reason why Rager is where Rager is. There's no growth. And I wish we saw more of Greg Ward, like we saw in that third down conversion, because we know that his hands, no matter what, are going to bail out the quarterback. And that's what we need to see more of when it comes to the options that the quarterback has in the pass game.
Well, I'll say this before I let you guys. I know you guys are up against it, but I think that, the Eagles are trying to figure out a way to justify the Jalen Rager pick. So all of these little gadget plays and whatnot that you see are plays that are set up to get him the ball. If he's what you drafted him to be, okay, then just call your offense, okay, and the open guy gets the ball. If he gets open, he gets the ball. If he doesn't get open, guess what? Your ass is blocking, okay? As far as Dallas Goedert is concerned, and I get your point, Sean, because what you're saying is, Kevin, what you're saying is Devontae Smith should get more targets. I agree. But let me tell you something about Dallas Goedert. If Dallas Goedert got the targets that Travis Kelce and Kittle's got, okay, we'd be talking about this kid in the top 3 or 4 tight ends in the league. There's no doubt about it, okay? For stretches in the offense, you see this kid disappear from the offense.
Mm-hmm.
He's uncoverable. There's not a linebacker that can run with him, and there's not a DB that's big enough to cover. So why aren't you scheming away? If you're scheming for anybody, you ought to be scheming for that guy.
Yep.
Okay, because he's got to catch the ball. He's had some drops, but when he catches the ball, he is a problem in the yak department. And why they're not focusing on that? And listen, Devontae Smith's going to get his targets. Yeah, they need to increase them. The fact that they're running the ball minimizes the amount of times that they're throwing the ball. And when you do that, that's going to mean, okay, how do I disperse these targets? But at the end of the day, your top 2 guys is Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. And those guys have got to get their targets at the end of the day in order for this offense to be successful. Hey, guys, listen, I'm going to let you guys run. I know you got to go. I appreciate your time. I tell my guests every week, our time is our most valuable commodity. I want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for spending 30 minutes on the Seth Joyner Show today.
Brother, you got me anytime. If I didn't have another show commitment that I have to do, I'd be here for 4 hours for you. Call 10 miles over broken glass. You're my guy. I love you, and you know that. Hey, Kev, it's honestly, you are killing it, and I'm proud of your growth and what you're doing, and you guys keep doing your thing, brother. I couldn't be more happy for your success. And Seth, I'll talk to you. I'll text you after the show. Kev, stay in touch with me, brother. And I'm going to tweet out. I'm going to in-game tweet like a madman because I want to do it now. I'm with you guys.
Sean, I appreciate you, man. Great seeing you, buddy. And you were always so good to me, man. It's great. And I want to say this final thing. The greatest linebacker in Eagles history is that guy to my left. And anytime you need me, Seth, I'll be with you. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you, guys.
I appreciate you. Love you, brother. Thank you. See you, Kev.
Take care, guys.
All right, gentlemen. So now it's just me and you guys. So let's talk about our Eagles. A little bit of housekeeping to do. We're going to extend the Seth Joyner Show giveaway an extra week, and it's all because of me. I forgot to go on social media and post all of these things. All right. So now we're going to extend it a week. After next week's show, we're going to announce our giveaway. You can see there in the graphic, what you got to do. We want you to follow Seth Joyner Show on Instagram or on Twitter. Tag 2 friends on Instagram or Twitter. But most importantly, if you're not subscribed to the Seth Joyner Show on YouTube, we'd like for you to go over there and subscribe to the show. And please share as well. So you got a hat, Seth Joyner hat. I don't have it on today, but that's my logo. We also got a signed Seth Joyner, Eagles football, and a signed Seth Joyner mini helmet. We'll be giving that away next week. So let's keep it going. let's talk a little bit about, Nick Sirianni. We got into it a little bit, with the guys, but, I want to continue to talk about these slow starts. And, we'll throw some of you guys' questions up here. We'll kind of segue into a little bit of talk to them, for the next 30 minutes as well. But the thing that concerns me most about Nick Sirianni is that, he's seen basically how successful the offense has been when we're running the football. And again, I'll preface it again for those who believe that, what I'm calling for is for the Eagles to just run the ball. No, listen, I get it. In order to be successful in this league, you got to throw the ball. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. But if you can run the ball and help your young quarterback when it comes to buying him some extra time off a play action pass, not being so, pass dominant, so pass heavy, where you give offenses or defenses, I should say, the opportunity to come after your young quarterback. I just think that you have more chance for success. You got a good stable of running backs. I know that Miles Sanders is out. He probably won't play again this week. Jordan Howard is nursing a shoulder. But the success of this running game really comes from the 5 guys up front. And those guys haven't changed. Those guys have been right there. So why not utilize that? Utilize your running game with whatever running back you have in there. If you're going to throw the ball on first down, make sure it's a short pass so that you can get positive yards on first down. So if you do get to third down, it's a more manageable situation. I mean, last week the Eagles in the first half was 33% on third down. That's problematic for a young quarterback if you're going to ask him on 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 15, to try to convert. That's just not the smart way of doing things. They've got to figure out a way on first and second down how to create positive yards so that if you get to third down, then you're in a situation where it's convertible. Or if you're in a situation where you're going to go for it on fourth down, you have something that's doable. And Nick Sirianni is most certainly bent towards going for it on fourth down. The first series last week, they drive all the way down the field on the Washington football team. They get down inside the 5-yard line, and they go for it on fourth down, and it just blew my mind. Now, I get it. Nick said in his post-game press conference that he wants to express confidence in his guys. They want to be aggressive. I have no problem with that. But the first drive of the game, you want to walk away from that knowing that you put some positive points on the board. Okay, you go from your 25 all the way down to their 5, and you walk away with nothing, 0. Okay, if it's late in the game, I get that. If it's a crucial situation where you're behind and you got to go for it, I get that. If you're trying to win the football game in the last 2 minutes or 4 minutes, I get that. But early in the game, okay, we got to try to figure out how to just get points on the board with this young offense because we've gotten off to a slow start. And any kind of positivity, even if it's 3 yards, psychologically, that does wonders for your football team that you got something out of it, okay? That you got something out of it. But you can't drive all the way down there and walk away with nothing. Now, and confidence is one thing. You can believe that you're going to convert them all. But the law of probability and the odds say that you're not going to convert all of them. If you're going to say, oh, I'm going for them all, well, you got to factor in the fact that, guess what? You're going to miss on some of them. That team on the other side has some good players. I don't care how bad they are and how good you are, but at some point in time, you're going to miss some of those. And if those are obvious situations early in the game where you can put significant points on the board, and yes, 3 points for this football team, any points for this young football team is significant, then you got to take them. You got to take them. So I would love to see, Nick come out and be more aggressive in the run game. If the strength of your football team, again, is your offensive line, let's figure out how we dominate the line of scrimmage. Let's dominate it physically first. He always talks about dog mentality. You can't have dog mentality as a football team if you don't dominate the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. A successful running game that allows you to hand the ball off and get what you want when you want to get it, okay, That's dog mentality. I'm taking the will, I'm snatching the soul out of a defense because we're running the ball at them. They know we're running it at them, and there's nothing that they can do to stop it. Okay, now, when you want to throw the ball, and that's what he really wants to do, now you've set your quarterback, your offensive line, and your wide receivers up for success. Because when you go play action pass, the linebackers and the safeties have to honor that. Even the defensive line, they have to honor the fact, and they got to play gap responsibility before they take off and go to the quarterback. That's going to buy Jalen a second or two. That's going to create lanes for him to escape if he has to take off with the football. To me, that's just smart football, okay? And this is what I want to see the Eagles do against the Cowboys. The Cowboys aren't the best football team against the run. Come out and run the ball down their throats early. That way you can kind of tamp down this aggressive pass rush bent defensive team because they can score points. Dak hasn't played his best the last 3 or 4 games, but that football team can score points. If you get into that mindset that we got to throw with them, that we got to score every possession because we got to keep up with them from a scoring perspective, that's going to get the Eagles embarrassed like they got embarrassed on Monday night in week 4 against the Dallas Cowboys or week 3. So that mindset has to change. Jeremiah Pitts asked, can we go under center for more runs? I love it. I love that mindset because the more Jalen Hurts is under center, the more misdirection, bootlegs, and play action passes you can actually run. I'm not a big fan of, play action out of shotgun. That's really an RPO. That's not really play action pass. Play action pass is when you start under center, you drop back and you show the ball to the defense, and then the quarterback gets into his drop. Or you show the ball to the defense going one way and you bootleg the other way. Now you've got the defense guessing. But, to Jeremiah's point, play from under center more. The times that they have played from under center, in my opinion, they've been much more successful as an offense than they do if they just line up at 5 yards or 4 yards and shotgun every single play and run their entire offense out of it. And they've got a bevy of different runs that they can actually implement because they are multiple from a run perspective. They run zones. They run stretch. They run toss. They run dive straight ahead. They pull with OTs and traps. They run a lot of different things. So the more you can give those looks, those multiple looks to a defense, now, especially if you're having success running it, now all of a sudden, guess what? The defensive coordinator has got to figure out how I'm going to stop this. The defensive linemen are trying to figure out, okay, are they pulling? Are they zone blocking? Are they double teaming and trying to climb up to the next level? The players have to adjust to that. And that makes them slow down because they know that they've got to stop the run first. That's every defense's number one objective going into a game is stop the run first and put them in a predictable passing situation, okay? So when you come out and you just throw, you put your quarterback at a disadvantage, you put your offense at a disadvantage, and when you go 3 and out, you put your defense at a major disadvantage because they're going to wind up playing 25 to 30 plays in the first half to your 16, 15, 16, 17 plays in the first half, okay? Now you're tiring out your defensive line. So all of this stuff kind of plays together and works together. We talked about earlier, these guys, Nick Sirianni being, a little more balanced, stop being stubborn, trying to come out, throwing the ball early, but also stop being greedy. Offenses in this league can be really greedy sometimes, wanting to push the ball down the field before you've earned the right to push it down the field. Sean and Kevin talked about it earlier in the show. Sean succinctly put it that, hey, there are quarterbacks, great quarterbacks who made their living in this league taking what the defense is giving them, okay? So now, even if you want to run, even if you want to push it down the field, and your Jalen Hurts' read is from left to right, he should always have an outlet this short with that deep route that's behind it, okay? Defenses are taught, especially in zone coverage, to always play from deep to short. So if he wants to take away the deep, take the short. That's 4 or 5 yards. Whether it's first down or second down, it's 4 or 5 yards. You're ahead of the sticks, okay? But if you try to push that ball down the field, and that's your objective, and you're being greedy, okay, and you get nothing on first down, you come back at 2nd and 10. A lot of teams like to try to run the ball on 2nd and 10. As a defensive player, I'm thinking right now, oh, they're going to run the ball on 2nd and 10. Let's buck up to try to put them in 3rd and 10, okay? So the mentality has to change. You got to stop being greedy until you've earned the right to get the shot plays down the field instead of just trying to force it because that's what you want to do. You know, where you impose your will on a defense is at the line of scrimmage and in the run game. You can't impose your will against a team that says, okay, we're going to play zone. We're going to play two high safeties behind us, whether it's 2-man or cover 2 or quarter coverage or quarter halves coverage, whatever it is. We're going to force you to throw the ball underneath. If they're giving you something, take it. Take what they're giving you. Establish the run game, short passing game, screens, bubble screens. Let me scratch that because I hate these bubble screens. It's not very often that you see teams, have success with it, because quite frankly, I just think our wide receivers are too small to be effective blockers out on the perimeter. Now, if you want to go 13 personnel, 1 wide receiver, one running back rather, and 3 tight ends, and flex out Dallas Goedert on one side with, Jack Stoll or Tyreek Jackson, with 1 wide receiver, with that wide receiver to that side and run bubble screen. Yeah, I get it because you got big bodies out there, that can get out and block. But Jalen Reagor doesn't look like he wants to block anybody. Quez Watkins look like he's too small to block anybody. And Devontae Smith ain't blocking nobody. So let's scratch the bubble screen, even though I know they're not going to do it, until you get some bigger wide receivers. And if you put J.J. Arcega-Whiteside in the game, the only reason he's in the game is the block. That's a dead giveaway that the bubble screen is coming. So they got to figure out a way to fix that and a way to figure out how to just take what the defense is giving you so that you can sustain drives because they can do that. They can do that. When they want to sustain drives, when they're running and they got good balance, they can absolutely do that. Now, the last couple of minutes of the show, I want to jump over on the defensive side of the ball. Some of you guys have already, thrown some questions up talking about the D. Listen, I'm just of the opinion that Jonathan Gannon is not a pressure guy. He's not going to change. Now, that's not going to stop me, you, and some in the media from pointing the finger at it, and talking about it. I think at the end of the day, you can't be a zone team with 3 fronts, a 4-man front, a 5-man front, and a 3-man front, and no variation to it. Coverages that just line your linebackers and your corners up, in soft posture, and you're giving up those soft throws that I'm talking about that the Eagles need to take on the offensive side of the ball. You can't win games that way. We were all holding our breath last week against the Washington football team as they systematically drove down the field with 2 minutes and 30-something seconds left and was on the cusp of winning this football game. It made no sense to me, when you could just bring some pressure, play your corners off, play your linebackers back, and say, okay, we're going to bring pressure and we're going to give you 1 read. Then we're going to break up on it and we're going to make the tackle for minimal gain. Instead, he sat back and they just systematically just drove down the field, okay? And then Rodney McLeod had to make a game-saving interception on an overthrow on what could have been a PI on the play. They got away with one, to win the football game. Now, playing against the teams they playing against gave you guys the numbers. Over the last 9 games, they played against the teams that have a combined 50 wins and 93 losses. The only teams with a halfway decent record, you got the Chargers with a 9-7 record, and the Saints, who they beat, are sitting at 8-8, I believe. Okay. So we're getting all of this conversation about Jonathan Gannon and his defense and how he's a candidate to be a defensive coordinator, a head coach, as we move upon this season of, head coach firings. I don't get the fact that we've fallen in love, with Jonathan Gannon is doing. Hey, listen, I get it. They're ranked number 5th. Going to last week, they were ranked number 5 in defense in the NFL. They're 9th against the run. They're 9th against the pass. Okay. But let me give you this stat. They're also 30th in turnover percentage. Okay. 30th out of 32 teams. Let's talk about why they're 30th in the NFL in turnovers. Okay. When you play as passive as they play, you don't put any pressure on the quarterback. When you don't blitz early on rundowns where you know a team potentially could run the football, when you don't have a run blitz built into your defense, okay, you allow these teams to play pressure-free. See, pressure makes a pipe bust. Pressure creates diamonds or creates explosions. Every quarterback's kryptonite is pressure. They don't want their clock sped up. They don't want to be forced to, only have one read. They want to sit back there protected and go through, their progressions and pick out the guy that they want to throw to. Pressure is what causes turnovers. When you're getting pressure on the quarterback, strip sacks happen. Fumbles happen. Interceptions happen. Incompletions on 3rd down happens without you giving up, too much real estate. All of those things happen when you create pressure. And I get it. I know the mindset is, we don't want to give up the over-the-top plays. Okay, so now who is it that you really, feel some type of way with if that's your mentality from a defense coordinator position? Okay, Darius Slay is going to the Pro Bowl. We know what he can do. If Maddox had any kind of stats the way he's played, he's been phenomenal this year in the slot. Okay. If he had any stats, if he had like 4 interceptions, a couple of caused fumbles, if he had any kind of stats, he probably would be going to the Pro Bowl. That's how well, in my opinion, he's played. Okay. Are you really worried about Nelson on the other side? Is that the reason why? Are you worried that your safeties, when you go to dime and you put them in the game and they got to come down and cover tight ends, are you worried about those guys? Are you worried about your linebackers being able to cover? I'm not saying a steady diet. I'm not preaching a steady diet of pressure any more than I'm preaching a steady diet of just pure run all the time. But what I'm saying is there are times in every single game, and especially over the last 7 games, you played against a couple of rookies. You played against a couple of 3rd-string quarterbacks. You played against a quarterback last week that was coming back off an injury that got embarrassed on Monday Night Football last week. And you sit back and you let these guys play with that level of comfortability. When your playoff hopes are on the line in this game, I just don't understand that. So when you talk about turnovers are a result of your defense's ability to create pressure. Whether you're stressing the run game and stuffing them and getting multiple guys to the ball where you can actually punch the ball out and strip the ball, or whether you're coming with pressure, and guys are getting there and they're stripping the ball from the quarterback, or you're forcing that quarterback to throw into coverage and make bad decisions and speeding up his clock, okay? That's why, in my opinion, although the Eagles are ranked number 5 in total defense in the NFL, that's the reason why, in my opinion, they're ranked 30th in turnovers. That is like horrible from a turnover perspective. It's horrible. I mean, you have to be much more aggressive to cause pressure on football teams. Because listen, Jalen Hurts ain't gonna be able to bail you out of every single game. Okay? Jalen Hurts ain't gonna come back in every single game moving forward this week or going into the playoffs where you're gonna be down 10 points or 13 points. And then they're gonna come out and just, light it up in the second half where you can put it on cruise control and play zone the entire time. There are integral parts and times in every single game where you as a coordinator got to tell whoever it is that you're in his ear on the defensive side of the ball, and it's probably TJ Edwards, hey, listen, we're going to come after him here. Okay? Tell the guys on the outside, they're going to have to man up. Linebackers, if you got a back or a tight end, get up on him, get your hands on him early. The ball's got to come out hot because we're sending more than they can pick up. We've schemed it. We know from a protection standpoint and a blitz standpoint that ball's coming out hot right now. So get yourself in a position where you can, if that ball comes out hot, you're either in a position to knock it down, you're in a position to intercept it, or the coverage is so good that we get there and we put the quarterback on his behind. Okay? There are probably 5 or 6 of those times in every single game where the defense coordinator has got to knuckle up in that situation, and he's got to tell his team, his guys, the guys that he trusts, okay, now's the time we got to get it done. Yeah, we've been playing steadily all game. We've created some pressure here and there. We've also given up some plays, okay? But the game hangs in the balance. This team has gained momentum, and we've got to cut it off right here. So now, man up, knuckle up. We're coming with a blitz, and we're going to make them, and now we've got an opportunity to make a play. See, when you transform the mentality of your players through your play calling, that changes the way that they play. See, when I see our cornerbacks, when I see an all-pro cornerback like Darius Slay playing 8 yards off the ball, that's a travesty, okay? When I see Avonte Maddox line up in the slot, knowing that that guy's off the ball and you're going to have a hard time getting your hands on him, and he's playing 6 yards off the ball, head up on him, giving him a two-way go because they ran everybody off and they're focusing on that guy, that makes no sense to me. You put him at a deficit. You put him in a situation to fail. Get him up. Let him take the inside away. Force the outside release. And the 12th man is the sideline or that cornerback that's out there that will come off coverage and help him, okay? But you cannot play in this league just giving up 5-6 yards every single play. You can't do it in the passing game because, to my point, teams are going to take what you give them. They're going to take what's there in front of them to be able to move the chains. That's what teams are doing to Jonathan Gannon. So how do you stem that tide? You stem that tide by disguising, okay? We're going to be off the ball. Yeah, Darius is off the ball 8 yards. Nelson's off the ball, 8 yards. And guess what? You may be afraid that Nelson over on the other side might not be able to give you the coverage that you need, but you know that Avonte Maddox and Darius Slay can hold it down. So roll your safety over top the other way and give Nelson some help. Put him in press coverage with inside technique and allow the safety to come over the top to give him help if that's what you're afraid of, okay? Go dime, okay? If you go dime, then you can go man across the board with a single high safety, and one of your linebackers has the running back, and you got the other linebacker in the hole. So you can protect yourself against all the crossing routes with a whole player and still be able to protect over the top or to Wilson's side if you're afraid that that's the case. But you cannot keep playing these soft coverages because what teams are going to do, they're watching the same film that you're watching. They're watching the same film that we're watching, and they're saying, okay, where's the path of least resistance? What can we have that this defense is going to give you? And when these guys are off the ball like that, they know that they can have 7 yards. The quarterback's just going to raise out and throw a 5-yard out. Just going to turn into 7 or 8. Makes no sense. Where's your disguise? Line those guys off. When the quarterback gets into his cadence, with his 10 seconds in the play clock, roll them up inside or outside, have them take their one jam at the line of scrimmage, alter the route, and now you can pretty much predict what's going to happen in that situation. But when you stand out there like statues and you give a quarterback a pre-snap read, even a young quarterback is able enough and good enough to take you apart. If the Eagles are going to have success this week against the Cowboys and next week in the playoffs, what we're all excited about and all shocked about, then they're going to have to make some changes on the defensive side of the ball, and they're going to have to come with some pressure, And it can't be just that lame old, zone blitz where you're in a 5-man line and you drop Avery out into the flat. He's out on the island and has no idea what he's doing out there. And a lot of times you void a zone when you go zone blitz anyway. You just can't keep giving them the same dose of what you've been giving them. It has to be, some metamorphosis to what you're doing defensively. It's got to be some change. You got to give these guys some different looks, because you want to know something? It works against teams that are 50 and 93, the last 9 teams that we played. That's not going to work against the Rams. That's not going to work against the Dallas Cowboys if that's who we wind up playing in the wild card. It's just not going to work. You're going to have to give Dak something different to look at. You're going to have to give Matthew Stafford something different to look at, or those 2 quarterbacks are going to take this soft defense apart bit by bit by bit. And with a young quarterback and young wide receivers, you're not going to be in a position to be able to come back. This team is not built for coming back, not against great teams that can score every possession. And when you're playing soft defense like this, these teams are going to score every possession. So they got to change something. It'd be interesting to watch and see. Okay. I'm going to wrap the show right there. I want you guys to, down here in the comments before I get out of here, put a prediction up for the game this week. Zach, go ahead and flash one more time the giveaway. We're going to extend the giveaway one more week. This is where you go. This is what you do to be able to, win the Seth Joyner logoed hat, a signed Eagles football by me, and a signed Eagles mini helmet by me. And looking forward to, it's odd, but I'm looking forward to this Saturday. The game is flexed. There'll only be 2 games on Saturday. So we get to sit back, and watch what's going on and watch our Eagles do their thing. Special thanks to Kevin Negandhi from ESPN and Sean Salisbury from Sports Talk 760 to 790 in Houston for being my guest today, the first 30 minutes of the show. Special thanks to, Zach James for, my producer, executive producer of the show. And special thanks to Divine Nines for always keeping me looking fresh. As we sign off, as usual, be good to each other and take care of each other. Most importantly, make sure you love each other. Fly, Eagles, fly. I'll see you guys right back here, hopefully on another Victory Tuesday next week. Thanks for watching the Seth Joyner Show. Peace.